Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good morning.
Good. Well, we may be a small group this morning, but we are a mighty group, and I appreciate seeing you guys. My name is Barbara Bynum, and myself, along with Kathy Keepers and Judy and Files and Phoebe Mindigger, organize the forum, and our goal each week is to bring you some program where you leave and you say, wow, I really learned something this morning. I did not know that was happening in my community. And so my goal this morning, when I invited Mallory Shaffer to speak, and I know you guys are not necessarily the target audience, with you might have grandchildren, that's true, but I knew that you guys would show up because you want to know what's going on in your community, and especially for this organization. Mallory and I had coffee a number of years ago, and she said, I have this vision to start a nonprofit and do a children's museum. And I was so impressed when we met. She was looking for advice, and I don't think I have anything useful to tell her, except that I was blown away with how organized as she was. And so it's no surprise that just about 4 years later, she's here to tell us, how does one start a nonprofit museum from the ground up in a community like Montrose? What are the challenges? What are the successes? And what does a children's museum look like today? Mallory and her husband have been in Montrose about 8 years. She has her doctorate degree in education, and she currently teaches at Black Canyon High School. And that's the high school that's located in Montrose High, but really serves students who are more at risk. And so she really has a heart for serving youth, working with kids at risk. She has 2 kids of her own, they're 8 and 11. And she is super excited to raise them in a community like Montrose, because she says it reminds her a lot of where she grew up in Arizona. So, with no further ado, let's give her a warm welcome. She took the day off work to be here, so welcome, Mallory.
So I'm Mallory Shaffer. I'm the founder and the executive director of the Montrose Children's Museum. As Barbara mentioned, I have been an educator. I started actually teaching at an at-risk school in Arizona when I was 21. So I was just a baby. And that was one of the most difficult things that I've ever done, is being 21 and teaching 18-year-olds. That was I had to set very strong boundaries and things like that. So my heart and passion is in education and just supporting students in whatever way I can. So I've been in Montrose for 8 years. I taught for 5 years at Northside Elementary, which is kind of a feeder school for Black Canyon. And so again, working with the at-risk community and trying to support them without the support that they have at home. And so I moved from Northside, went to Vista Charter School, which is an alternative school here in town. I stayed there for 2 years, again, at-risk youth, continuing to help those kids succeed, not in the traditional classroom. And so I left, I was doing some admin work over at Vista, and I decided I wanted to get back into the classroom. I was just telling Barbara that managing adults wasn't my forte, it wasn't my favorite thing to do. So I went back into the classroom over at Black Canyon, and I've been there for 2 years. Just working with that at-risk youth and continuing to help them succeed. One of my big buckets for passion is helping teens that don't have the support at home to be able to become successful. So my background is, we were super poverty-stricken growing up, and all of these traumatic events, right? So just showing the kids that it's not where you come from, but it's where you go. So having my doctorate and being able to show the kids that you can still be successful has been so much fun. So with that, I wanted to kind of introduce you guys to my board. I invited them today, but they all work full-time as well, typical board members. And so they're not able to be here today, but our president is Whitney Murphy, and she's actually our founding president. So she has been on the board with me since the beginning. So since before we were even a nonprofit, I met her at the park and we had our kids, and I said, hey, I have this idea. You should help me. Her husband is the engineer of the city, so she's been a great asset. Just building that relationship with the city and introducing me to key players for our nonprofit. She's been a great asset for all of that. She's also super detail oriented. I'm big picture, She is very organized and detail-oriented, so we kind of make a great team, looking at the big picture, and then she breaks everything down for me so we can be successful. And then we have Bethany Anderson. So she's actually out of Cedar Edge. She's newer to the board. She's been on for about 3 months. She's our treasurer. She's actually the financial officer for a nonprofit out in Cedar Edge, or Delta, called Families Plus. So she works with at-risk youth, at-risk families that don't have the means to support themselves in the mental capacity, physical capacity, things like that. So she's been huge in helping us with finances. So again, my background is in education and not building a business. So just trying to learn as we go. She has been a huge asset to making sure our finances are in place, making sure that we're doing what we need to do to continue to grow. So we actually just brought me on. I have been volunteer for 3 years, and so we just, once Bethany came on, she helped us figure out that we do have enough funding to be able to start paying me part-time. So that gives me more time and more motivation to be able to continue to grow our nonprofit from the ground up. So she has been a huge asset in that aspect. And then we have Angie Sandoval. So she's our secretary. She's also a little bit newer to the board. She worked for the Valley Food Partnership here in Montrose, but with the government cuts and government changeover and things like that, her job disappeared. And so she has come on as somebody that helps us run camps and helps us support field trips and things like that. So she has put in a lot of volunteer time in that educational piece. And then we have Allison Wofford, who is also a founding board member. She's an educator here in town as well, so she teaches at Outer Range. And she is our publicity chair, but Whitney is on her way out as president. She has some health issues, so she is stepping down, and she's just going to continue to volunteer and teach classes and things like that. So Allison is moving into the president position. And she's been great. She makes all of our graphics. So like this beautiful PowerPoint that we have, she made it. She made it look pretty. I just told her what needed to be on it. So she has been super helpful. Without the board, we would not be as successful as we are. So again, community members that come together to just see this vision through. And then Kathy Koval, she is a board member. She doesn't hold a seat. She's just somebody that's there to help support us in whatever way she can. She has done a lot of campaigning for different political parties and things like that. So her public speaking and things like that have really helped support that growth for the nonprofit. So we are a 501c3, which means we're a nonprofit organization. And then we're currently still run 95% by volunteers. So we have 2 part-time employees, me being one of them, and then our museum assistant. So she's at the museum, working the museum physically while I'm teaching, and then we kind of rotate on the weekends. So I'm there on the weekends, she's there on the weekdays. This is our vision, or our mission. I'm not gonna read it completely, but it's basically our goal, or our mission, is to foster a learning environment for kids that don't typically succeed in the traditional classroom, and even to supplement what the schools are not doing. So one of my big things, I'm a science teacher, so I get to do all the fun things. And school, we've taken out a lot of the fun. And so what I like to do is to be able to supplement with hands-on learning. So you can see a picture of our water table. So we have a water table there, and we put in some different rocks and minerals and shark teeth and fool's gold and things like that. And the kids get to learn about what those rocks are made of. They get to actually mine. We have some people come down from Uray sometimes to hold workshops that show how miners actually do it with the sluice boxes and things like that. So super hands-on and just building that community support. So my husband is a small business owner. He owns a heating service company, working on water heaters and boilers. And so one of my big things is let's use the community and the businesses around to help support in both ways. So they help us monetarily, taking on one of the exhibits, sponsoring it, and then we help them by advertising for them. So for example, Jimmy John's sponsors our kitchen exhibit. You can kind of see it in the back. I have a lot more pictures of it. But Jimmy John's, since the beginning, has been sponsoring our exhibit, and so many kids ask to go to Jimmy John's after they have served sandwiches and things like that. So it's a communal thing, and it's helpful in successful for both parties. Our vision, again, just to provide that diverse, learning, enriched community, establishing joy and passion. And then one of the big things for me is family community. So a lot of the things that I see as an educator is that families are not as engaged with their children as they used to be or as they could be. We get a lot of backlash because we charge for adults as well for admission. And I have a caveat that, like, you're not here to just scroll on your phone, you're here to engage with your kid and to learn with your kid. And so that's one of the big things, is to just promote that family connection and to rebuild us as parents educating the kids, rather than all of the teachers having to teach the kids how to do different things. So a big thing for me is just having that family camaraderie and building that community. So where it all began, I actually presented here 2 years ago, before we even opened our doors. We were doing pop-up events. So the city helped us out by loaning us the Centennial Room, and so we would pop up every Friday. I didn't work on Fridays, so it was just a 4-day week at Vista. So I would take my Fridays and we would go to storage, we'd load up our trailer, and we would pop up in a room similar to this. And we would just set up all of the different things. So you can see we had like a shadow exhibit with an old school projector. The kids loved it. They were like, "What is this thing?" And so it was exciting. It's exciting to even talk to teachers that have retired. As teachers, we're hoarders of all of our things. And so lots of teachers have just given us the things that they have kept. And so it's been fun I grew up in the 90s, so it was fun to see this projector and be able to introduce the kids to the things that I had when I was growing up. And then we just set up, we have our doctor's exhibit, and then we had little workshops. So this one was during Halloween. We made potions with plants. So we were able to get all the plants donated from local garden centers, and they would just make perfumes and things like that out of essential oils. And then this one is just my daughter. She is playing with some snap circuits. So this is a huge thing for electricity. The snap circuits are just hands-on. They're buttons, and so you just clip them together just like our pants. And you can see the light bulb kind of lighting up. There's some batteries, and you just connect. And so it's really cool for the kids to just hands-on learn how that works. So she didn't know how to do that. She just put the metal pieces together and was like, wow, that's how the conduction works. So super exciting to be able to see that. Pop-up events, we did that from December 2023 to May of 2024, and then we opened our doors for our physical space June 2024. And so what we did is we charged admission. We charged $8 per person to come in and play and do what they wanted for the whole time we were open. We also had the field house classroom, and we popped up there. And then we also did in-school field trips. So like, we didn't have a space yet, so what we did is we reached out to the schools asking them if we could use their gym. And so a lot of the schools we just popped up at. And so we put all of our stuff up in the gym, and then they would just cycle through with all of the grades. And sometimes we would even connect it to what they're learning in the classroom. So if they're learning about oceanography, we had a bunch of sea stars and a big shark jaw that got donated. And so we were able to show them the things that we don't learn in Colorado because we're not near an ocean. So these are just some, things going fast. These are just some pictures of the next 5 slides are just pictures of our pop-ups. So this is the Jimmy John's and the Farm to Fork exhibit that we were talking about, and the kids love it. Jimmy John's continues to sponsor it because it's also lucrative for them. And their families also attend. So the owners of Jimmy John's have very young kids, and so they're able to come and experience what their parents do, just at a lower level. This is our top spot. So we had a space just for littles that don't have marbles that they can put in their mouths and things like that. So lots of kids just playing and learning at the same time. Oh, keeps going too fast. And again, this is just our potion pop-up. So we have volunteers that would come in and help support us. Sometimes we would have 70 kids in and out of that Centennial Room in the 2 hours that we were open during this time. So the volunteers were a huge asset to that as well. What's happening here?
It's a little touchy. It is.
Okay. This is actually our fishing exhibit. We have a very similar exhibit in our physical museum, and I'll get to some pictures of that in just a few minutes. But we started out, recreation is huge here in Montrose, and teaching our kids the value of recreation and the value of outdoors was a big nugget for us. So we have just some fake fish that we put some book rings into their mouths, and the kids were just there fishing all day. We popped up at Colorado Outdoors Block Party just recently, and we had the Dragoo's son who stayed at the fishing exhibit for 2 full hours, just catching the fish, and throwing them back and catching them again. So we've actually upgraded this exhibit quite a bit with the help of Colorado Outdoors and a couple other organizations, to where these fish are actually Colorado fish and the fish that we see on the western slope. So then the kids are able to identify them. The parents are able to engage with them and say, oh, you caught a fish. What kind is that? What do you think the spots mean? Things like that. So, I'm sorry. And then this was just a fun one. This was one that we don't currently have in the museum right now, but it was a water cycle exhibit. So we just had a big tub with like a smoke maker and a fog machine, and we popped it in there, and then we used our pneumatic tube. And for those of you that don't know what a pneumatic tube is, it's just an air tube. It's like at the bank where you put your deposit in and it sucks it up. Well, we have one that my husband made that you put balls in, and it just shoots it all around, and then it shoots it out. So we use this as our, you can see the clouds hanging and things, but the kids were able to see how precipitation works, how condensation works, how the whole water cycle moves through, and they were able to put the balls through the pneumatic tube and see it go from place to place and create that precipitation and condensation. And so these are just things that we rotate through the museum. So where we're at now, the life of the museum. So we started in 2022. I knew nothing about nonprofits. When I met with Barbara, she was like, hey, you should go to Region 10. They're a great resource. So I started at Region 10. They helped me build a business plan, and then it was also suggested that I go to Rural Philanthropy Days. And that was one of the most educational and humbling things that I've ever done. Just learning about the nonprofit community. I've always loved giving back, but I didn't realize that nonprofits, everybody wants to give back. And so it was very humbling, and like, wow, I have a lot of work to do to succeed and make this a successful journey. And so these are just some pictures of when we started. So we had a local artist, she's a parent at my kid's school, who painted all the mountains on our wall, and it's of the San Juans. And so we have it's like a silhouette of the San Juans, and then we have all of the elevations of each peak and the name of each peak to kind of keep that educational piece, but also keep it very local to Montrose. And then these are just my own kids. They spent a lot of time helping with the museum, and we spent our entire summer, every single day, building and painting and just getting it ready to open. And then just some other pictures, very plain, there's not much on the walls. We are still working on getting there. So we have moved into having 2 employees. So we started with 1 employee, and one of my big pieces that I would like to stick to is hiring at-risk youth. So I pulled a couple kids from both schools that I've worked at and have continued to help build that career path for them. So we've been working with the Colorado Workforce Center pretty closely. And so I hired an at-risk youth student that I worked with, who I trusted and who I knew had potential to continue to move up. And the Colorado Workforce Center has been so great for her. So that's just another community connection that we have used. They have helped her learn how to use QuickBooks. So she is becoming she's becoming part of our team of where she can help work on the books, so I don't have to do that piece. So just continuing to build, and she knows that it's not something that, I'm not gonna be able to pay her a living wage as an adult, but it's a stepping stone for her to move forward. And so just the community support that we have had has been huge for us, including the Colorado Workforce Center. And I'm just gonna move through, I think it's just some financial things. So I didn't wanna bog anybody down with all of the financial talk. It's not my favorite. But I wanted to kind of let you guys know where we started and where we're at. So I actually put $600 into the application so we could get our 501c3. So I just called my mom and my dad and I said, hey, I have this idea. Can you donate to me? And so they both donated to me, and so I was able to pay out of pocket for our 501c3 status. And then once that happened, we got fiscally sponsored by the Montrose Community Foundation. So again, that community support just keeps coming back to it. And so since 2022, with that first $600, we have raised over $220,000 through grants, sponsorships, fundraising, and individual support. And I'll tell you, most of our money all of our money, besides maybe 10,000 of it, has been local money. So we haven't moved out of Montrose for most of our money that we have raised. One of the grants that we get is through the Chris Mikesell Foundation, which is out of Crescent View, but the family lives here. And so they're a family foundation, and they have been so supportive since the very beginning. But I think that that's a huge thing to highlight as well, is the community support and the local money that has really supported this and continued to build our vision. These funds have built and sustained our exhibits, programs, and access initiatives like Museums for All. So again, my heart is with people that are less fortunate than I am, and so the Museums for All program is something that's really close to my heart. It's something that we continue to try to fund and try to support. It's a program through the Association of Children's Museums that allows our people on government assistance, our families on government assistance, to either get in for a discounted rate or for free. And we actually just won the money from the Women's Giving Club, which is a local organization here too. We earned about $13,000-ish, and a big chunk of that went to the Museums for All program. So we were charging $3 for each family on government assistance to come in, but now we're able to offer that for free to just kind of help supplement that family engagement and also that education piece that they might be missing. And then volunteer and staff, so we've worked really closely with Montrose High School. They have come out and the wood shop has cut up. We have a construction room where the kids get to use real power tools and real screwdrivers and things like that. The shop class actually just cut up probably, 15 giant boards of wood for us, so we could have little pieces. The kids love to make little faces out of them or craft with them, or even just hammer nails into a piece of board. The boys will sit there and do that for hours. And so that's been a huge piece. They've come and painted our curbs for us. They've done an incredible amount of work for us. We also have some church volunteers, and then we support the Step Up to Life program, which is through the school district as well. It's working with disabled children and adults, kind of getting them into the career field and helping work on those social skills. So we have a couple volunteers with disabilities that we're working with to build those life skills of just speaking to people. We have one girl that loves to put her headphones on, and she just dances and sings so loudly and just is very animated, and that's something that her teacher has asked us to work on. And so that's something that we're able to do in the museum with that safe space of our visitors know, our parents know, and our kids really like to interact with our adults that have disabilities as well. So it's a great experience for all. Again, just some kind of where our money comes from. So about 50% for both of these, so about 50% of our income is earned. So we charge admission. We also sell memberships, punch passes, and then program revenue such as field trips, birthday parties. And then we just actually had our first homeschool co-op group come in yesterday. And since we're closed on Tuesdays, they were able to just run their own homeschool co-op. I was able to just give them a key to the building, train them how to open, how to close. We do background checks and everything. And so they actually came in yesterday and did an entire program all on their own, and just used our space for that educational piece. So 50% of our money comes from earned income. So we're working in the museum just as hard as we are to the contributed income. So sometimes we have people that just donate money, but a lot of the times it's me and my board going out and saying, hey, we have this idea, and we think that you would be a great partner for this. And so we get individual donations. We do a lot of fundraisers. We had an annual fundraiser in June. And we also do sponsorships. So again, that's a big piece of it is helping those businesses and organizations really put out what do you do, and let me teach the community on how you do that. So for example, we have two construction companies, two contractors that have supported and sponsored our construction room. And so one of the sponsors came in and he framed out the entire construction room and put in fake light switches and things like that, so the kids could really see what do the insides of the walls look like. My husband's a contractor and he was telling me, he's a plumber too, like all of the things. And so he was telling me that there's pipes inside the walls and all of these different things. And I was like, we should just make a glass so people can actually see what it looks like. Because I am ignorant in all of the things contracting. Like that's not my forte. So it's interesting to see the kids learn and just see, nobody knows, a lot of kids don't know that there's pipes and wood and things behind the walls. So just that learning experience. And then we go through Colorado Gives. That's just a state initiative and a state thing that people do. So we just donate through that, and that's going on right now until December 9th. I kind of just wanted to throw up our rates and our memberships just for a quick view. We charge $8 per person for children and adults, and then we do senior and military discounts. And then our family memberships, we have a Discovery membership, which is just a $50 donation to help support and sustain the museum. Who we serve. So we serve usually children ages 0 to 10. My big goal for the future is to be able to serve older. So the big kids are my jam, and so being able to build that out and become a lot bigger. Youth organizations across the region, who we serve where. So this was kind of fun to look at and to compare to different organizations, but 55% of the people that come to the Children's Museum are from Montrose. 21% are outside of Montrose, but still on the western slopes. So I have an example here. So Gunnison, Cedar Edge, Norwood, Silverton, and similar rural areas. See a lot of people from Telluride and things like that. And then the mountain rural western Colorado is 5.3. So that's the Telluride, Delta, Olathe, Hotchkiss, Paonia. And these are all, we have a waiver that people fill out, so they put in their zip codes. So it's really nice to be able to see who we're serving. Even 12% from out of state. That's amazing to me. We see even just the regularly, we see Arizona, California, Idaho. So those are the people that we see regularly, which means at least once a month, and that's where they're coming from. So kind of fun to look at, even through the city lens of who are we serving as a community. Diversity and access, so this is just what types of people do we serve. So 70% of our visitors are white, and then we also have 6 Hispanic and Latino, 3% American Indian and Alaskan Native, and then multiracial, and then 12% that just prefer not to say. So again, it's really exciting to be able to see these numbers and be able to know that we're hitting different diverse needs as well. Sponsors and partners. So sponsorships, again, they help me decide what we're going to do for that exhibit. And so I work with the sponsors to determine what does your exhibit look like and how can we help push out what you do on a lower level for our little kids. Their logos and their stories appear in the exhibits, so some of them even have QR codes that go straight to their website, and they can call and make appointments that way. So, and then the next few slides are just pictures of our current exhibit. So this is the pneumatic tube on the wall where they can put a ball in and it shoots it all around. Health is a big thing for me as well, and so we have a workout exhibit. It's not in the museum right now, but they get to go and lift weights and talk about the importance of nutrition. This is our, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay, this is our craft area, so it's the makerspace. This is the most popular. So the kids, this is just all stuff. So if you guys have things that you want to donate, the kids love wine corks. They think they're so fun to craft with and to cut and things like that. So they just go to town. It's my employee's worst nightmare. She hates cleaning it because it's always a disaster. And then just going through, this is our health exhibit. So we've got a little vet exhibit. We've got some doctor stuff going on here. Magic Circle players actually supports and sponsors our theater stage, so it's called the Imagination Station. One of the most popular as well, so they get to dress up as whatever they want, and they get to get up there and perform. Favorite thing is to see guardians and parents as they're performing too. Let's see if I can get this guy to work. This is our mining table, so it's right up front. Each time that the kids come in, they get a bag of dirt, and they just get to go to town, and they get to keep whatever they find. So usually we have shark teeth and some fool's gold in there. And then we're working on a silver exhibit to add to this, to just show the importance of mining and things like that through the western slope. Farm to fork exhibit, so again, just the nutrition and where our food comes from. And agriculture is huge in Montrose, so just teaching those kids that not all of our food you can just go to Walmart. Like you can't, it has to come from somewhere. So where does that come from? So super interactive. Our construction room, so we got little tool belts. You can see all the wood that the Montrose High School kids cut up. And the kids, I don't have the pictures up there, but the kids have created so many different things. And then our outdoor space, so this is, it has grown over the years. This is actually one of my favorite things that we do is it's a water wall, and so the kids get to see where does the water come from that fills up the Ridgeway Reservoir and things like that. So they get to they have siphons, and they learn about siphoning and vacuums and things like that. And then kind of just our future programming, serving youth. I would love to go up to 18. Expanding community outreach, youth advisory committee, and then children on the exhibit development. So I think that would be so fun to know what do the kids want to see rather than what do I want to see. And then these are just our sponsors. So I haven't done enough justice to our sponsors today, but I don't want to get bogged down in that either. But lots of sponsors, lots of support, and continued support throughout what we've done. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. I tried.
Okay, I've got the mic. Well, I am impressed, aren't you guys? Isn't that amazing? I think as a community, we have so many nonprofits in our community. And I think every week someone gets an idea that they're going to start a nonprofit, and I bet a bunch of those fizzle out, or they realize that someone else is already doing that work. But I knew when I met with her that she had something special and was going to make it happen, and I'm just so impressed. What do you guys want to know? I want to know exactly where the museum is, right? Because I don't think she quite covered that.
Yes.
So take a second and tell us exactly where you are now, and then I'll open it up to you guys for questions.
Yeah, sorry, didn't even mention that. We're 221 Colorado Avenue, so we're right next to urgent care, right behind the high school.
Heavenly Yogurt.
Baseball field.
Heavenly
Yep.
Yogurt.
Used to be Heavenly Yogurt, used to be Montrose Medical Building, and now, and hopefully for a while, it's going to be Montrose Children's Museum.
Do you have a lease on the building?
We do.
And
Yep.
is that a big part of your expenses, is paying rent?
It is. So rent and maintenance of our exhibits is probably where most of our money goes toward each month.
What else do you guys want to know?
Two things. I'm new to town, but Colorado Gives, that's a match to what your other donors give, is that correct? During
Yeah.
Colorado Gives days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Colorado Gives is, they will match recurring donations. So if somebody makes a $100 donation, up to $100. So if somebody makes a $100 donation before December 9th, then they will match that up to $100. So if they give before December 9th, it will match it.
And you mentioned the Association of Children's Museums or something to that effect. Does that allow you to have loaned or rented exhibits that you can bring in so you don't have to create everything from scratch here?
Yeah, so the Association of Children's Museum is a national association, and so we go there, I go there every year to just learn and do some professional development. They do offer rented exhibits. They're just way over our price range. So right now they're about $70,000 for 6 months. And so that's something that we can't afford yet. And so I really just invoke my husband and Whitney's husband to just build what we want. And really working with Montrose High School and VISA. And so my goal would be to be able to bring in those exhibits, those super elaborate exhibits, but currently it's just not in our budget.
I would imagine those are more like the dense Denver Children's Museum,
Yes.
Boston.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, our space is only 2,800 square feet, so a lot of the exhibits that you can rent out are about the size of our entire space. So that's our goal, is to move bigger and continue to build out those exhibits.
Thank you for your presentation. As you were going through everything, because each has an educational impact, I was trying to imagine who explains that to the kids. Do you have someone in each room, or do you have someone with each exhibit, or is it up to the parents to explain what's happening?
Yeah, good question. So our museum assistant, which is me, and her name is Jaslyn, we work the floor, so we're able to help support. But we also created something called a Wonder Deck. So it's just a little deck of cards that explains all of the background of the exhibit and the educational pieces. And then it also has some questions, some guiding questions for the adults that are there to help support that. And then also we have high school volunteers that come in and senior volunteers that come in and help. We have lots of retired teachers that love to teach. And so they go around to each exhibit and help support that educational piece too.
I bet the parents are oftentimes learning just as much as
Yeah,
the kiddos.
yeah.
Is it in Spanish?
Wait, hang on.
English?
Hey, you don't get asked a question.
Sorry, kid.
Reach your turn.
What are your hours and your days?
Yeah. We're getting ready to just switch some hours up just for payroll purposes. And so starting next week, we have weird hours just because we're off for Thanksgiving. So when we have breaks for the schools, we change our hours, so we extend our hours. So next week we're open 10 to 4 every day except for Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, we're open 10 to 5 Wednesday through Saturday.
And now my friend Ellen, you have a question.
Just so you know, when my son was little, there was a group of people that did this across the street from you guys. Do you remember that?
I actually met with them. They were like, before I started all of this, I found the founders of both children's museums that were here in the 80s and the 2000s and met with the founders to be able to see, what'd you do? What happened? Why did we not succeed? And so, yes.
That's what I was just gonna say, because we loved it. We used to go a lot when my son was small, so I just want to say kudos to you on that. And I love that you're incorporating kids that are struggling that can grow from that, special needs kids. Is that Dream Deck in Spanish too?
Yeah, so most of our things, we're still working on changing over some of them. We're just a small team. But most of our stuff, we actually have maps and things. Most of the things that are up, our signage and things, are both English and Spanish. We have a volunteer who translates everything into Spanish for us because we noticed that if we use Google, it's not always
I
correct.
volunteer Lula from the high school. That's my next club.
Cool. Send them my way.
Why do you think, what are the pitfalls? Why do those other efforts stall out? And how are you going to avoid that this time around? And it was my understanding that if it's mostly moms with kids that age, when their kids age out, you take all of your energy and passion and you move on to something that your kids are involved in. So my guess is that's part of it, and how are you going to avoid that?
Yeah, so both children's museums, there was one in the 80s that was a traveling children's museum, and it was the original Montrose Children's Museum, and then in the 2000s there was the Climbing Tree Museum. And when I met with both of those founders and some of the board members, they had said that their biggest challenge was that they started completely volunteer, which we did too, but they never moved into being able to pay their employees or their volunteers. And so I think we're already a step ahead. And so, like Barbara said, once the parents of the kids that were volunteering aged out, they left. And so I think that the big thing for us is that we already have paid staff. So we're already one step ahead of that, and we have a very strong volunteer base. And again, that community camaraderie has really helped us continue to succeed and be able to get sponsorships for events and just continue that funding piece that a lot of the two children's museums before did not have. So I think we're a little bit more financially stable compared to the earlier children's museums. And I was told that Montrose was not big enough at the time. And all of the board members and the founders had told me, like, this is the time to start a children's museum because we are growing so rapidly here in Montrose.
So I don't think they had your energy, if you want to know the truth.
It's got to go somewhere.
So they're required to have an adult guardian with them. It's not a babysitting service.
Correct.
Does that ever happen where somebody tries to drop off kids and how do you handle that?
Yeah, we haven't actually had many people try to drop off. I think we've made it pretty clear that one of our big pieces is that we want the family engagement. And we have had, like, you can drop off if you have a 16 or year older sibling with them. But it's just, I continue to tell people that we don't want to be a daycare. We want to be an educational space that helps support the school district and the city and the small businesses and organizations. So we do have some camps that people can drop off at, but that's an extra payment for that drop off. And it's only, I can't go through the licensing of daycare and all of those different things on top of what we're doing. So I don't want to move away from our mission, and our mission is to continue to engage families.
So when my grandchildren come to town, that's a go-to place for them. In fact, they come to go to you, and then they might see me. But anyway, every time I've been there, you just mix up everything so well. How often, like, what's on the docket? What's going down? What's coming up? I mean, some things stay, and they need to stay.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like, wow, that's new, and it's fun for me too. It's like, oh, let's play with this. Let's do this for a while.
Yeah.
So what do you got coming up?
Yeah, so one of our goals was to switch out exhibits every 6 months, like 3 to 5 exhibits every 6 months, because we're so small. We're able to kind of do that. We have a 10 by 20 storage unit where we just store all of the extras. What we actually have coming up is the year of transportation. And I haven't said this out loud yet, so now I'm making it concrete that this is our year of transportation. So we're looking to work with the city and All Points Transit and different places around the western slope to really bring in that transportation piece. So like a lot of my students at Black Canyon and at Vista don't drive. So many of our teens are not wanting to drive, and so they are walking everywhere, riding bikes everywhere. But we have a great public transit system that a lot of our students and our younger kids don't even know about, and families. And so we're working on the year of transportation where we can help kids learn about mechanics, how to change a tire, what an engine looks like, and things like that. And then working with the airport and bringing in, we have quite a few volunteers and people that do workshops within our space that are huge into planes. They all own planes, and they would love to come and do a workshop about what planes do, how aerodynamics work, and things like that. So we're really focused this year on the year of transportation, and so that's what I'm doing today after this, is I'm going to all of the car dealerships and saying, hey, this is my idea. Do you think you can support it? And so that's our goal, is to have like a half of a car on the wall and the kids can see what it looks like inside. We'll have a little gas pump where the kids can learn to pump gas. We've got donated a plane wing, a wing from an airplane, a small airplane that we are hoping to be able to display in the museum. And just one of our volunteers just changed out all of his controls on his plane, so he has all of the old controls that he's just going to mount up on a piece of wood, and we'll be able to have displayed on the wall so the kids can see really like how does it work to accelerate a plane, how do you stop the plane, how do you make sure that it's turning in the right direction, and just play with all of the buttons and things. So the year of transportation, I just made it concrete and it's out there in the world. So that's our goal for the future within the next year.
Sometimes it's nice when a decision is made, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So here's a story that I'll share, and correct me if I'm wrong. One time, early on, I was there with my littles, and you were there, and we went into the construction room, and right inside the room, there was a big piece of the drywall that was torn off the wall. And I said, well, that's really cool, because you can see the drywall. And they go, well, I think it was you who said that was not supposed to happen. Some kid went in there with that thing and just started ripping the drywall out.
So one of our sponsors like I said, framed out the wall, and he does all natural insulation made out of blue jeans, and so he stuffed the insulation in there so the kids could see what do the layers of the inside of the wall look like. And so he had a piece of drywall up there so the kids could see, like, there's the drywall, and then underneath the drywall is the insulation. And I had my museum assistant call me one day, and she says, "It's crazy in here. This kid is just demoing the drywall." So he just had a hammer and just went to town and just took the whole drywall off of the demonstration. So, which is what we want to see. We want to see. I don't want to see it destroyed, but it was fun to be able to see, like,
a small business.
yeah, exactly. That's his first experience into the career that he might take. So.
It's, you know what happens with me, and I'm sure a lot of adults and it could hear, so I say, find a small child and go there, that we'll start playing with something, and I'll look up and my kids are gone. I'm still playing with it. So then I'm like, well, wait, where'd they go? You know, they're on to something else,
Yep.
you know, just so exciting, yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Tell me, what was something that really surprised you that you learned in the last few years of deciding to start a nonprofit, open a museum in this relatively small community? What's something that surprised you that you were not expecting at all?
A lot. I think that the biggest thing, I keep saying community support, but it just keeps bringing me back to how many people have really stepped up. So the lady that did all of our murals in the museum, we have had 2 full walls of a mural with like a life-size elk, so the kids could really see, like, what do I look like compared to an elk. She did it all for free. So she did it all volunteer. She painted all of the mountains. All of the murals inside of the museum are completely donated and amazing, like professional artwork. Say that again?
Was it Tony?
No, it was Molly Shockley.
Oh.
Yep, and so just the people that have come out of the woodworks that are like, hey, we would love to teach a workshop. We would love to help volunteer. We would love to help support the disabled volunteers that you have and make sure that they are learning those life skills. So for me, it really just comes down to that community piece. I grew up in a town very similar to Montrose, and I don't remember growing up having that kind of community support. And so just seeing the monetary support, but also just people continuing to come and support that vision. So I think that's the biggest, and the support that my family gave me. My husband, he was there every single day. As much as he hated it, he was building all of the exhibits. So all of the things that you guys saw pictures of were things that my board helped build and the board's husbands helped build. So a lot of that support that just came out of it.
That's impressive.
Plug his company.
Yeah, what's his name?
My husband's company is Coppercraft, and so he's very small, he's very new, but if you need boilers or hot water heaters fixed or supported, we can take care of it.
Have you partnered at all with like Colorado Parks and Wildlife and some of their, like, they have a lot of educational things or exhibits with Chavano,
Conservation?
Yeah, like some kind of an exhibit with a water and it's, I don't know.
Yep, so we've partnered with all of those. CPW has come in and done multiple workshops. We do something called First Friday. So the first Friday of every month, we have a partner come in and do something. So whether that's the library that comes in and brings their bookmobile or does a short read aloud with the kids, CPW has come in and brought all of their pelts and like their paw prints for the kids to be able to, they just have like these rubber paw prints that you can, of like mountain lions and bears and all of those types of things. So they just go in and they can just stamp them onto the paper, or they can even put them in our sandbox and see what it actually looks like. We've also partnered with Chavano Conservation District, where they've brought their big water table to just show how the water moves through the western slope and where it comes from and things like that. So lots of partners. I'm not doing justice to the rest of them because we've worked with so many of them, but very similar to that. Valley Food Partnership has come in. We've done some fruit stamping, and they make smoothies with the kids that are green but taste good. And so lots of support from all of those partners too.
That's really cool.
So how do you advertise?
No, just talk closer.
How do you advertise? How do people find out what you're doing?
Yeah, good question. Most of it is word of mouth. But we advertise through the Montrose Daily Press sometimes, just depending on what it is. If it's a fundraiser, we go all out with all of the things. I try to do what I can for free and not pay for the advertising, just because I want to pull from our budget. I want it to go toward exhibits and things. So social media is big for our demographic. Most of the moms are on Facebook, Instagram, any of those things. We also have a website, so it's just montrosechildrensmuseum.org. And then we pass out flyers through the school district as well. I have flyers up here. Anywhere, I also just present. I just go to places and ask them if I can present about what the museum is. And I'm just part of lots of different organizations, like the Women's Giving Club, speaking at the school board meetings. I'm getting ready to present at Rotary next month. So just going out there and asking people like, hey, this is what I do. Can you help support me where I can present to you guys? So.
And I think that's a good segue to just thanking you for coming to Forum. And also, we do have kind of a smaller crowd, but I know each of you is going to go tell at least 5 people what you learned this morning and how cool it is about this organization in our community. And even if you don't have plans to visit the Children's Museum, maybe you don't have grandkids or they don't come to Montrose, just the idea that someone in our community can have a passion, make it happen with the right person at the right time, with the right educational background and the right amount of energy. It's really impressive, isn't it? I mean, that's pretty cool. Let's give her a big round of applause.